Hey, welcome back to the Roadside Rescue YouTube channel. I'm Ernest, and we are on a long-distance emergency roadside rescue. Just kidding, it's not emergency. We're in Tennessee visiting family, but we've got quite a few old projects laying around. So first thing we're gonna do here is pull the engine on this old Jeep Commander. Had some engine issues. My dad likes to buy projects and fix them up, but he has gotten lately to the point where he buys projects and doesn't fix them up or gets halfway through them. So we're gonna help him out while we're here, get some work done. We're gonna pull this engine. It had dropped a valve in this cylinder here, and obviously broke the head off that valve and was bouncing around in there. So we're gonna take this out, take it to the machine shop and see if we can oversize everything, and if the block's still reusable, we'll get a new head and we may end up rebuilding this engine here. But for right now, we're at least gonna tear it apart and get it out of here and see if it's reusable or what the next step would be if not. So it's just been sitting here for a couple months. I think we took this head off over Christmas break when I was down here visiting, and we'll go ahead, just do a time lapse of pulling this. Should be pretty interesting. We'll get the update after we get this out, what's going to happen to it, if we're going to rebuild it or just replace the engine. So we've got our lovely assistant Gabe. But we'll do a time lapse of pulling this, nothing too crazy, and the update will be the most interesting thing on this. There's quite a few projects around here. We might be rebuilding the engine on that old tractor over there. There's a Volkswagen Beetle and a truck out in the field down that way, and there's an old Jeep right there. We'll be replacing the transmission in that and maybe doing some work on some of these boats here. So just getting stuff out of the way and get some work done. Well, here we are, people, with the fun fact of the day. This Jeep has multi-layered steel head gaskets. So no matter what, we're gonna have to probably resurface the heads. They have like a tolerance of like 0.02 thousandths of an inch. So you really have to go to a good quality machine shop and get these resurfaced pretty much anytime you're gonna pull a head on these. So not the kind like the old cardboard gaskets people would, even with warped heads, just slap them back on and torque them down. They take up a lot of space, but these have to be pretty much a perfectly flat surface. So we'll want to get this, probably the block decked and the head resurfaced. Just something to think about if you're going to be working on one of these. All right, so here's the multi-layered steel gasket. You can see what I'm talking about. These are the knuckle cutters. When you're ever have to reach under the intake manifold to do a knock sense or something, you rub your knuckles against this, it'll cut you. They're just thin layers of steel. So they've got a little bit of, I don't even know what this is, Teflon on them, the black stuff. But yeah, you can see they're just layered steel. So the tolerance on these are super, super small. The surface has to be perfectly flat just because there's no give to this. On a cardboard gasket, you know, it can make up in one spot for a little bit of warpage, but here, if it's not perfectly flat, these being so thin and unmalleable, they just can't fill up that space. So we're gonna get everything machined, and yeah, that's why. All right, so here we are. We just got this other head pulled, and a little bit of a blessing in disguise that we did pull this side, because we knew the one on that side was bad. Well, my dad did. He was gonna replace it and get this Jeep running for either the kids to drive or whatever. And since we're gonna pull the engine, I went ahead and pulled this head because, you know, everything's gonna get machined anyways, and we're probably gonna rebuild it. But luckily, when I pulled it, you can see on this piston here, there's a lot of damage. And this little piece here, whatever that is, either fell in through the intake at one point and got stuck in this cylinder. But this obviously caused quite a bit of damage, and I would expect these rod bearings or the rod to go. You know, it's not gonna last forever, and probably not too much longer. With this debris in there, obviously may have bent a rod a little, or just, you know, done quite a bit of damage. But it looks like it hit the valves a little, but you can just see here where it just got a lot of this surface all messed up. So you could always run it if you needed to in an emergency for a little bit longer like that, but you know, it's a good thing we saw that. So we're probably gonna have to look at getting a new head on this side as well. So you know, Initially, I think they were just going to replace that piston on the other side and just call it good and drive this as kind of like a teenager's car to get to and from school. But you know, it's good if we're going to rebuild it and they're going to sell it or whatever, that we got all this damage found before it was too late. So that's why you got to be careful too when you're working on stuff. If you drop something and you don't know where it went, you better put a camera down the intake and make sure you don't have something sitting on top of your piston, or you know, make sure you find whatever you dropped, because this is it's not super common, but it's quite common enough to drop something, not know where it goes, and just assume it fell to the ground. And in reality, it fell inside the engine, and there's no way that's ever getting out through these valves as well. You can see they open up enough, but the chances of that happening before it gets smashed and lodged in, pretty slim. It could be the tip of one of the old spark plugs as well. I just can't tell what it is. It's so smashed up. But again, good thing we got this all pulled and looked at, and a complete rebuild is going to be the best thing for this. Oh, all right, there she is. That's the motor with some damage. We'll take her up to the machine shop, and they'll give it a look over and see if everything can be reused. If not, then at least we know what to do next. Maybe scrap the project, but there she is. All right, thanks for watching the Ernest P YouTube channel. All right, thanks for watching the Roadside Rescue YouTube channel. If you were interested at all in this video or entertained, consider subscribing. Give it a thumbs up, whatever you want to do. We'll greatly appreciate it. Thanks. We'll see you on the next one. All right, so here on the Jeep project, it's raining. We've got it pushed out of the way with that tarp over it, but news came back from the machine shop that it needs to be machined to 30 thousandths over. We're gonna need a new head as well, and none of that's gonna get done in time to do right now. So I think rather than put all the money into it as well, my dad's just gonna go ahead and call it quits on this project. So sad ending on that. I wasn't really looking forward to rebuilding an engine anyways. It's not my favorite thing to do, so I'm not too upset about it, but it is unfortunate, just a little bit more damage than expected. So that's the what for on the Jeep project, probably ending with that. I've never actually looked inside, but everybody keeps talking about how nice the interior was, so let's take a peek at that. I mean, the outside's pretty cool. Oh yeah, it's pretty clean. Wow, it's got sunroofs too. Wow, this is cool. Well, too bad. I don't know if they're gonna chunk it or just down the road do something else with it, but as for right now, there she sits. So that's it on the Jeep project. Thanks for watching the Roadside Rescue YouTube channel. I'm Ernest. If you were entertained at all by this video, check out our other videos, consider subscribing, and we'll see you on the next one.